So let me just start off by saying that I just watched the Hasbro live stream the other day, which is, I guess, their first live stream that's Marvel Legends related in 2025. It was a pretty big monumental moment, and there were people in the comment section that were saying that they were crying when they saw the new Spider-Man Marvel Legends action figure. And I have to say, I don't know if they were like legitimately in tears, like, you know, on their knees with mucus running down their mustaches and their beards, but that's a little bit over the top. I mean, I have gotten maybe like a tear in my eye over like watching a really good movie, or I don't know, the birth of my child, but I don't think I've ever cried over a really good action figure. By the way, this isn't even a figure that they have in hand. This is just like promotional images. They were jizzing and crying, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit over the top, but I will say, guys, and just a quick little recap because I've already done a video on this. I think that was one of the best live streams that Hasbro has ever done, ever. I mean, they've done some pretty cool stuff with, you know, the G.I. Joe line recently and things of that nature, but this to me was just like over the top. By the way, let's not forget this license, or the original IP, is not Hasbro's. Like, they still have to pay for licensing fees, which is definitely not cheap, but it just goes to show their commitment to their fan base. And I've been very critical of Hasbro, and I've said for years, you know, 2 years ago, I said that McFarlane was the best OM, and then I went on to say Jada Toys, and then I switched back and forth with whoever is making the best action figure at the moment. I don't know who it's going to be tomorrow. I don't know who it's going to be next week, but I just follow the best creator, the best manufacturer at the moment, and this could potentially be Hasbro at the moment. And honestly, guys, I think this live stream really showed their attention to detail and how they're willing to reinvent themselves. Now, and by the way, I'm trying to think back. I may be mistaken here, but I think every single figure that was revealed is either a brand new body mold or it's on updated technology. So one of the newer body molds with like pinless technology. Some of them have like the double abs section articulation. And as I said, some of the other figures are just brand new body molds. I mean, the new Spider-Man action figure is supposed to be just head to toe brand new. The ROM figure head to toe is brand new. The Miles Morales is on that updated body mold. Adam Warlock is on a new body mold, the new, you know, base body mold, and then the new Wolverine has that updated tech as well. So almost every single figure, as I said, and let's not forget about the Electro live action No Way Home action figure, which is also brand new sculpt work with some accessories that, even though they're not brand new, they've only been utilized maybe like 2 to 3 times at this point. They have done some really creative stuff, and I think that the Maximum action figure line or whatever from Marvel, which is the new Spider-Man, it's going to be under that subline. That one is going to be like essentially a brand new line with, again, this isn't confirmed, but it appears it's going to be a brand new line with brand new body molds, brand new accessories. They had, you know, even a stand for like the accessory pieces and things of that nature. That's supposed to be akin to the DC Collectors line from McFarlane. And it's not even close to each other, right? Like, you're still getting brand new head sculpts, you're getting brand new hands, brand new accessory pieces, the stands for them. Head to toe, this is like a brand new engineer work. It's absolutely insane. Whereas in like the collector's edition line, sometimes they're reusing exact body molds from the DC Multiverse line, even though the collector's edition line is supposed to be, you know, for like hardcore collectors, and they're supposed to offer way more. In some cases, you barely get any accessories with those particular figures at that subline. So that's essentially what this video is. I feel like, especially because of the last live stream that we just received from Hasbro, and I'm not going to get into too much detail because I already did a video where I recapped in general what figures were released, what they were offering, things of that nature. So I'm not really going to get too deep into it, but I will say that is one of the best reveals that I've ever seen. I am very, very excited for the future, but I'm also very disappointed in McFarlane. I just made a video where I essentially bashed McFarlane because I felt like he wasn't making action figures or collectibles for his like hardcore fan base, the people that collect his 7-inch line. He was essentially going out of his way to try to bring on new people without really giving the hardcore collectors, those people that have followed him for decades, without giving them something to really purchase. And this is just kind of like this is a follow-up to that particular video, where I think McFarlane is just he's getting put on the back burner at this moment. I don't even think he's like top 3 in terms of manufacturers out there at that particular price point, and it's really disappointing. I think he's made some really good strides. He now includes face plates for a lot of his collector's edition line. He does wired capes. He's starting to include action figure stands with more of his action figures. He's going back and actually updating a lot of his figures. We saw the Action Comic Books 1000 Superman get a wired cape. We saw the Batman Noel get a wired cape as well. We've seen so many different things where sometimes he'll take a figure that was already existing, sometimes something that's maybe 2 to 3 years old, and he's giving it massive upgrades. But I think what is really standing out right now is a lot of his shortcomings. I will say I do like his more modern live stream that he did not too long ago, where it was like a legitimate live stream where he had a bunch of reveals. They talked about some of the newer figures that they've been releasing. They talked about some of the newer updates for some of the lines and things of that nature. And I think, I've said it before, I think McFarlane really needs to lean in on that, connect more with his community, have them interact with each other in a live stream setting, and then just actually have more power over the reveals. Because at this point, I mentioned this in a previous video, but sometimes it's like Hasbro jumping the gun or Target jumping the gun and actually posting a listing, or accidentally posting a listing about something that Hasbro should have revealed. So I think having him have more power over the reveals and the releases, and him actually like sitting down and being able to, and I don't think that he did that in the previous live stream, but at least that way there's a team behind it, right? There's somebody there sitting and revealing these figures and actually talking about them, and I think sometimes it kind of shows a little bit of a spotlight on something new from the figure that, let's say if you just post it online as a listing, some people might not even notice the new feature, right? Like when faceplates were a thing, some people didn't even know that they were faceplates because they just looked at promotional images. There was nobody to tell them that. There was nobody to tell them that there was a new wired cape, or that cloth capes were now going to be somewhat of a standard going forward for capes. Nobody said that. Nobody came and did or brought that to the forefront. It had to be like other content creators putting this information together and actually showcasing it, instead of McFarlane doing it himself. I think it was just really frustrating. It was just really stupid that he wasn't kind of taking that burden on himself. And honestly, I think it's a good thing when he's able to kind of showcase the new features. It makes people more interested in the line, or at least it makes the price point, or it makes their brains activate a little bit more and say, hey, maybe this is something that I need. At least it makes more sense now that this is a collector's edition line. Now I'm more interested in paying a $30 price point, whereas in before, probably not, because they didn't know all of the new key features. But all in all, I think McFarlane is just falling way behind. I've said it before, I think he needs to include more action figure stands. I think he needs to release way more 7-inch action figures. Stop messing around with, the Marvel statues are pretty cool and some of the other sublines, but I think at the end of the day, people want 7-inch action figures. That's essentially what he's known for the most nowadays. I like the cloth capes, I like the wired capes, but there's still other things. We've mentioned that like pelvic area with that soft plastic, where sometimes some people refer to it as like a plastic diaper. I think he definitely needs to go in there and re-engineer that, or try to find a way to hide it a little bit more. Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can notice it more on other figures, or I should say you can notice it more on some figures than others. Personally, I don't think it's like a groundbreaking new upgrade that he would make, but it's something that a lot of people seem to have an issue with. And if there are that many people in your fan base, or at least consumers, people that buy your figures, that are complaining about it, it's definitely something that you need to take a look at. I think some of the neck joints, some of the neck articulation makes absolutely no sense. The mid-torso is another big point of emphasis. Why not start using hinges? Or, I mean, at this point, Hasbro's using a double system where there's like 2 points of articulation at the mid-torso. McFarlane still hasn't been able to figure that out just yet. The pins, I mean, those holes are huge, especially at that 1/10 scale. Sometimes, with the 1/12, they can hide them a little bit more. They're not as noticeable, but with the McFarlane figures, I don't know what it is. Those holes look like craters. They look like giant belly buttons all over the figure. I'm not saying that he needs to adjust that now, but it's something that he should have worked out. I mean, he's had the line out for 3-4 years. I think it's about time that he starts working on at least some pinless technology. I'm not saying if he wants to get rid of all of them, or he just doesn't want to work on the budget that much, but or re-engineer every single figure. But I think it's a matter of time that he finally starts, doing pinless technology. But the list goes on and on. Sometimes you'll have some really ugly wrists where you can see like big giant ball joints. I see a lot of big ball joints at the ankles as well. These are minor little things that he can tweak, he can work on. Not to mention how many times he reuses some of these body molds. It's absolutely insane. I know you're gonna have like your blank go-to like basic body mold that you're gonna reutilize for smaller characters or lesser known characters, but some of these body molds he reuses for like an insane amount of time. I think it's a good idea what Hasbro did here. They gave us a bunch of new body molds. I think it's only a matter of time that McFarlane decides to do something like that. Do a reveal where maybe like out of like let's say 10 figures, at least 3 or 4 of them are brand new body molds. Get people excited, get people enticed into your product. Like as I said, I think the live stream is a great way to help your consumers connect with you and just connect with each other. But overall, as I said, this video is essentially me calling out McFarlane and saying, hey, I'm a fan of yours, I like some of your product, I do have a pretty decent size DC Multiverse collection on one of my shelves. I really like the line. I'm a huge Batman fan, I'm a huge Superman fan, so on and so forth. I want to see more from him. I want it to be a closer race, whereas in right now I feel like Hasbro could potentially start running away with it, with Jada Toys following close behind. But the last time that I got really excited over a McFarlane product, it's been quite some time. The Marvel statues and all that stuff is pretty cool. I like it. I'll admire it from afar, but it's been a while since I like pre-ordered some figures from McFarlane. Most of the time I'm just like, hey, if I find it in a store, I'll pick it up. I actually have to see it in person, like hold it, to really get motivated to purchase it, which is not something that I do too often with Marvel Legends, or at least with the last few Marvel Legends waves that I've seen so far. So as I said, I think McFarlane has all of the tools at his disposal. I think that he's a really good creator. I think he'll figure it out, but I just feel like he needs to step his game up, especially after this live stream. Do what Hasbro did. They took all of their feedback, they took all of the opinions from their consumer base and actually put it to work, and I think that's what he really needs to do. So, but again, this is just my personal opinion, my personal humble perspective. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your comments. Do you guys agree, disagree with me? Do you feel like McFarlane really needs to step his game up, or do you feel that he's fine exactly where he is at? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, make sure to stay safe out there, and as always, enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.